Oh my god, have I shown you my new bucket?
Yeah, bucket.
Yeah, I've got a new bucket. It's exciting. It's got this like really cool little handle here. It's all ergonomic and like you could fit so much in there. Like it's a really nice bucket, right?
I mean, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Why don't you like my new bucket?
It's fine, I guess. You know.
Like, look, it's got such a good carrying capacity. It's made of such a nice material. Why? Check out how awesome this bucket is.
I mean, it's a fine bucket. It's just not my cup of tea.
I mean,
just the look of pure disgust.
My brain went, yes, everything other than a cup of tea isn't your cup of tea. Okay.
Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Magnet Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet Dale, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers. It's a podcast where two queer trans women, that's us, we're wife types, talk about media we've consumed in the week and do silly voices and skits and just have a bit of a giggly catch-up.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Slightly less wonky than last week. How are you doing?
Slightly more wonky than last week.
Oh no.
I've got a blocked ear, I can't really hear on one side, and it's making my head go all weird, because there's pressure in my head, there's no
balance
fun.
Issues.
And I'm in the midst of getting ready for all of the travel, so
much travel.
So many things.
Peril.
But we're here currently.
We are here
we're
currently.
Here to talk about bits of media, some of which we played. What did you play this week?
What have I played this week? Well, we could talk about a thing we played together.
What did we play together?
We played the co-op expansion for Viticulture, the board game.
Did!
About making wine, but instead of being competitive who can make best wine, it was cooperative who can make enough wine and have a wine empire.
Can you make sure that you both create sufficient wine
and
while
influence of your business?
Yeah, while not cannibalizing where each other need to be, so that you both can get the points you need.
Yeah. So most of the rules are the same as the base game. Like if you already know the base game, you can teach it pretty quickly.
We've talked
it's
about
worker placement.
We've talked about base viticulture before. It's plant grapes, make them into wine, sell the wine.
Yep.
With some extra steps. It's basically a worker placement game.
It's a worker placement game. There's a little bit of hand management, some card stuff. So the big difference from base, I guess, is firstly the 5-card hand limit is a big thing. Mm-hmm. Then I guess you've got the ability to upgrade some individual spaces. So you have these innovation tiles where you can basically make a spot more powerful to go to, or make it easier for lots of people to go to without having to use your one special worker.
Yeah, the two types of upgrades are either like the thing this space is inherently good at, make it better at that, or make it so that this space can house more people and also give you a little benefit.
Indeed.
And I think both of them are very important in their own ways. Being able to get, like, a good example, harvest one field. If you upgrade that space with this little rectangle upgrade, harvest all fields for a single action. Mm-hmm. That is a really big difference to the pacing of the game, particularly when you have to both hit the score target within 6, maybe 7 years.
Yes.
6 or 7 rounds of the game, you have to hit the score target. Being able to not have to send multiple workers to do an action multiple times because you upgraded it is great. But also, being able to send multiple workers to a space is great, because it means that you're not like, oh, well, only one of us can make wines this year.
Yes. Which is especially important when you're all trying to work together everyone has to score at least 25 points, and overall the team has to get at least 10, influence.
Yeah.
Influence points. And in 2-player you start at, I think it's 8, I think, not 8, like 2, I think, 2 or 3, I think you start on for 2-player, something like that. But there's like a staggered track for player count. What do you think so far?
I really enjoy it, but it is definitely it is a very tight challenge. It is you are going to need a good plan and then probably some luck on top of it to have any chance of getting through in the 6-year aim.
Yes, because base viticulture has a solo mode that gives you 7 years to get through, but also that starts with the standard. You're probably only going to be getting 2 basic workers and 1 grande worker. But there's also this whole thing of you will start with all 4 base workers and a grande worker, and you have the option of getting the free worker off the top, but that is the most you can ever have.
Yeah.
You can never, train your 5th worker that there is a meeple for, because you use a good chunk of the bits from the base game for this. Like, it's got its own board, it's got its own, all the upgrade innovation tiles we talked about. It takes back from the Tuscany expansion the whole, there are 4 seasons, you place people in each season, and you do a different thing at each period. It goes back to the base game, essential edition of Viticulture of, you have spring, which is where you just pick which order you're going to take your turns in, and you'll get a bonus based on where you're starting. And then you just go into full summer, worker placement, you move to autumn, and at that point you get, a card if you've, met certain criteria, if you've built the cottage. Then you go straight into winter, and it's back to worker placement again, and then the year wraps up. And you're aging your grapes and wines, and recalling everything back and moving on. In single player, in with 7 years, that was difficult. In 2-player, in this, this expansion comes with a bunch of different continent packs of cards. And apparently a lot of people said the base game was already too difficult. So Stonemaier Games released a freebie pack, which if you buy the game from their website, you can just get it as they will automatically include it and do that as a fix. And that was just about it. Would it introduced all the things at a good pace, and I thought that was really good, and I really appreciated that. And then we played through the Asia, which is supposed to be the easiest of the chapters or areas. And that was hard.
Yeah, so the reason why I say there's a bit of luck involved in succeeding at this is because, there's a couple of spaces on the board that I would say are, really vital to be using as few of your, worker turns up on as possible. Mm-hmm. And that is planting grapes, harvesting fields, making wine, and selling wine.
Yes.
And particularly, planting grapes in the field and harvesting the fields.
Yes.
The quicker you can be doing multiple of those in a turn and not preventing each other from doing it, the better you are going to have a chance of actually getting where you need to get. Yeah. And there are a lot of spaces that you can find ways to make them useful, but they are situationally useful.
Yeah.
And the randomized elements mean that if you get a bunch of upgrades for, things that you're going to be doing in years 5 and 6 early on in the game, and things that you need to be doing in years 1 and 2 show up toward the end of the game, that's going to be tricky.
Yep.
But then you've got things like that first location we went to that was in India, I think it was.
That continent is just Asia, because it talks about all the various different winemaking throughout Asia. Because it talks because it gives you, each of the seasons gives you, or each year gives you a little bit of history about winemaking in that continent.
Yeah.
And that's very cool.
But yes, the Asia was a really interesting first one to do for highlighting that difficulty spike, because half of the potential upgrades that would be dealt out each turn just weren't dealt out, which means that even in a full game, you're seeing half as many upgrades as you usually would, which makes it really hard to find the ones that are going to improve your efficiency in the early game.
Yep, and that slot on the board doesn't refresh until the end of the year, so there is no way of just churning through that to try and get somewhere faster. It's it is a difficult time. But I'm still very much enjoying it, even though I think we played 3 games of Asia.
Yes,
2 or 3. I think I did 1 attempt at Asia in solo. The solo mode is very good. I think it's actually better than base Viticulture solo, even though it does have a similar mechanic of just get in the way. It is slightly different by virtue of you flip over a card. The card has a reminded that the Automa character is going to be getting 3 lira on their turn, like at the start of each season, and these are the 4 spaces they're going to fill up. You can take a couple of lira out of their pool, like 2 lira out of their pool to move them off of one of those spaces, or you can just leave them there and just accept that you're not going to be able to use that section, or you're going to have to just use your grande worker to be able to use the same tile. It's an interesting way of doing it, especially since, like, if you don't spend all of the Automa's money, they can do things like the big important upgrades for you with their pool of cash, but they're not going to be getting a huge amount of it, and otherwise they might just be in your way generally. But I think it's like a lot more in depth than the base Automa for Viticulture, and yeah, I'm looking forward to trying more of it. It's just a matter of more time.
Isn't that always the way?
What else have you played?
Well, we played a video game thing together.
What, us together?
Yeah, we've been playing a bunch of Vampire Survivors co-op together.
We sure have.
We sure have. So yeah, how are you finding the co-op?
Much better now. I worked out that we can have permanent outlines around our characters.
Yes, that was not something I was aware of in that preview event, but being able to make the coloured character outlines be permanent and not just that few seconds after, like, a menu disappears.
Yes, although I do wish that line was a little bit thicker, and I wouldn't mind having that in the base game, to be honest.
Agreed. That's the only thing I really have to complain about in the co-op mode is I wish that I could just take that co-op mode outline and put it in single player. It'd be really nice.
Yeah, I just wish the line was like maybe 1 extra pixel all the way around. I think that would really cement it for me. Because one thing, like the base version of that is that it will flash up around your character when you come out of a menu, like after you're doing a level up, everything pauses for a couple of seconds, or like a second. Your character will have that outline around them, and then, like, action will resume, which is quite good if you're not fully paying attention when someone picks their level up.
Yes, I was taking a second to grab a drink. Oh, fuck, where am I?
Shit, we're back. But, like, I am so used to that game being chaos, but knowing that I'm at the epicenter of it. And when you're playing multiplayer, the camera tries to be, like, directly between the players, and then obviously you are sort of restricted within that zone, but and you've said that you can, like, player 1 will have the option of, like, dragging the others along with them.
Yeah, they seem to get a bit of priority on where the camera goes, but it's not so much that it feels like I am having a lesser experience because of it if I'm not player 1.
No, but I would say that because of that amount of chaos, and me being used to being the epicenter of it, and that is, like, the middle of the screen, it's like, oh no, my eyes need to be in different places.
Yeah.
This is a lot to process. I did find that mitigated a lot once we got the, like, permanent character outlines on there.
Yes. Things we didn't know before that, like, we largely started a new playthrough to play through a bunch of, like, the early game in co-op.
Yeah.
And one thing that we got to kind of late was, I think it's when you start unlocking the ability to skip level ups.
Yes.
In co-op, and the game doesn't, like, advertise this to you, when you have a couple of skips available to you, you'll also have the option, I think it's pass, it's called?
Yes, which is funny, because we were saying, like, that would be it'd be a really good thing if you could just go, my level up just came in, but you can have this one because it's got the item you need.
I kind of wish it was unlocked earlier, and if I were to replay this in co-op from the start again at some point, I would look through the unlocks list and go, what do I need to do to unlock some skips?
Yeah.
Because, the way it works is, let's say I got a level up, and there's 3 weapons and accessories for me to pick from, and one of them is a thing that Jane really wants for her build that she's been looking for desperately.
Maybe it's the last thing I need.
Yeah, I can pass the level up, and those 3 things that were offered to me will be offered to Jane instead, and presumably in 3 or 4 player you could use a pass to pass it on again. And it seems like each character, each player individually has a couple of passes.
Yes.
It's not like player 1 doing a pass means that player 2 has fewer passes to use later.
Yeah, although I would be concerned in, like, higher player counts, because there's that potentially that you're just pushing it on to the next person in the queue, because it does go, like, one after the other after the other.
Yeah, it's only... It works really well in 2-player, because the only person who's going to see it other than the one who needs it is the person who can pass it to them for a single pass.
Yeah.
It would be expensive resource-wise for player 1 to pass an item to player 4, presumably.
I would imagine so.
But that made a really big difference to the ease of building builds, and not going 50% of the time when the thing I'm looking for pops up, it's popping up for someone that's not me.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that it gives you a little pop-up showing which character needs that evolution, like, once you've evolved that weapon set.
Yes.
Which is, like, a nice idea.
Yeah.
But it does make you go, oh yeah, that's the thing that evolves, because you're used to it in single player of that being the thing. It's like, no, actually, I don't want to take that.
Once we had pass as an option, I was paying enough attention to go, that can evolve one of Jane's things. Do you want me to pass it to you? And Jane would be like, we've gone over this item like 4 times. I've got the accessory for a different reason. I don't need that weapon.
Yeah, there is that as well.
But it was a nice... I like that as we progressed through the main, like, single-player game's mechanic unlocking, it was unlocking new stuff for co-op that had unique co-op mechanics.
Yes.
And, like, that was just a nice little bit of progression that honestly does make this feel like a game that there is some real fun to be had in progressing in co-op.
Yeah, I think the co-op is very interesting. The only thing I think it really sort of lessens is the revives. Because when you buy the revive from the shop, it is one revive and it's for the party rather than for an individual, like each.
Yeah.
And that sort of makes that very expensive one shot from the shop very difficult. Like, I feel like maybe that either needs to be one each and it is tied specifically to your character, or...
You know how I wish it worked, and maybe this would be overpowered, is revives only activate when all party members are down. So if all party members are down, a revive brings one person up, because that's when you need it. You don't need it when one person's gone down to get them instantly up. You need it when it's like, the party is down, give us one more shot to survive long enough for that other coffin to pop and us to be back as a team.
Yeah, or even just, like, make it optional. Like, do you want to use the revive, or do you want to go into... Because the thing is, when one person dies, they go into a coffin.
Yeah.
Now, there's a little timer going to be built up, and then once the timer's filled, they're going to be back in the game. And generally, that seems just fine until you realise that you are, say, 10 minutes into a run, and because you're playing in 2-player, you have a maximum of 4 weapons and 4 accessories each, as opposed to a full 6. And obviously that number changes as you go up. For 3-player, it's 3 items each. And for 4, it's what, 2?
4 is 2 each.
Which means overall you do have more items than you would in a normal single-player run.
6-player...
But if one person goes down, it can be fucking tough.
Yeah, that's it. Like, in 4-player is probably the one where one player going down is the least of a problem, because that brings you down to 6 as a party, which is comparable with single-player. But in 2 or 3-player...
Well, if 3 is, 3 each, you said?
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
So,
you're right. Yeah, so
9
3 each,
down
1
3.
down would still be 6. It's only 2-player where you go... One person going down puts you below a single-player character's skill set, which, is challenging, but not unfairly so. It's, like, the challenge when one player goes down in 2-player and you're waiting for that coffin to pop up is mainly, I am tethered to where that coffin is. I can't walk far enough away that the coffin goes off screen.
You can't bring it off screen,
and therefore, I have a limited room to run around in circles buying time.
Yeah. And also, like, just generally, it is best if you can and you're strong enough to, like, get right on top of that coffin and protect it, because when the other person pops out, if they are completely surrounded, then they're just going to be in a really bad state and probably drop again. Like, we had a couple of games in Capella Magna where you were just, like, repeatedly going down because I couldn't get close enough to clear things off of you.
I didn't have enough health to get out of the swarm and back to you.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
It's like, okay, I think you're about, like, 2/3 full. I'm going to start trying to run towards you around this giant horde of enemies. And hopefully that won't be completely fucked.
But yeah, it's been really fun to play in co-op. It's been nice to play that game that we always play just sat next to each other, playing it separately, to play it together.
Yes.
And do the things. Yay.
Yay. More co-op. Co-op all the things.
More co-op indeed. Last little thing, interesting wrinkle of some of the unlocks. Things where you have to level up a character to a certain level means that you have to get your party's level to double that threshold.
At least.
Yeah, or
Because
triple
the
or
thing is,
quadruple.
if somebody levels up while somebody else is in the coffin, only the people who are up will get a level up. So
Yes.
that can also add an extra wrinkle.
Yeah. There's a lot of, like, interesting minutiae that, like, I keep mulling over with, like, that I just think are interesting design choices. You can see who's going to get the next level up by looking where the level up gems that are being picked up are going. They fly towards the person who's going to get the next level up.
Oh,
You
yes.
can see them getting the experience. Little things like that are really nice.
The Arcana seem to be applied to all characters, but I
Yep.
don't know if they're as powerful as they would otherwise be.
As best I can tell, they are full power, affecting everyone. The one that I used to test that was I did a single player co-op run with the one that does revives, that grants revives.
Croce. I'm sorry,
'cause-
with Awake.
Yeah, because that's one I could, like, mathematically look at. Have you changed the number?
Yes.
Yeah, so the numbers are the same. So the Arcana seem to be unchanged and affect everyone. They are one of the bigger bonuses you get as a group.
Bonus.
Also, amulet, the friendship amulets are great.
Oh yeah, like because obviously in multiplayer you are only getting a level every however many levels based on player count, but the friendship bracelet is like I will spend my entire level up so that we all get one level in a random weapon. Like you don't know which one it's going to be.
But it's going to be one of your weapons, so it's going to get you towards those evolutions.
And once all the weapons are completely full, it will go to your accessories until they're full.
Yeah.
At which point, the friendship bracelet will be like, you're the only character that's going to get a thing from this, so
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
It's nicely made.
Yeah. I think, once again, because this isn't even a paid update, is it?
No, this is just a free little update.
Thank you, Vampire Survivors.
Thank you, Vampire Survivors, for being the game that we will just eternally play for all of time.
The game I've spent the least amount of money on for the most amount of play.
Oh god, yeah. I've bought it multiple times on multiple platforms.
And
it's still, like, less than the price of most games, and I've gotten considerably more out of it.
Right.
New platform, great excuse for me to start over from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? What you played this week?
Well, I played some Stray Gods, the role-playing musical.
Yeah, so you played, like, an hour or two of this, maybe?
I played it on stream. I did like a 2-hour stream of this. But I got a free code, and I have to say things about that.
You do.
I do. I got a free code from Play Humble Games and @Disobey. #gifted.
Yeah.
There you go. I've said the thing.
There you go.
I got a free code for it. Thanks very much.
You've done the disclaimer.
There you go. Now all of my thoughts can be tainted by that.
Yeah. Whereas I'd already pre-ordered it, so I paid money for it.
Your thoughts are unfettered.
I've got unfettered thoughts.
You finished it.
Yeah,
in one sitting.
Yes. I started streaming at 10, and someone told me that game was about 2 to 3 hours long, and then it was 2 a.m.
3
Yeah,
hours
I'd been going for 4 hours, and someone said, "Oh no, it's about 5 hours. You're about an hour from done." I was like, I could finish at 3, and then there was another hour and a half after that. I stayed up till I think 4:30 in the morning.
I know you said to me like that you'd come to bed at 6 when I spoke to you the next day.
I don't think it was quite that late. I might not have gotten to sleep until then,
Right.
but I was up late. I was really into that game.
I was really into it. I was like, no, I have to stop because
Yeah.
I have shit to do tomorrow.
So this is a narrative-based adventure, like story-based adventure game about you play as Grace, who is a singer who's a little lost in life, and this woman shows up to like band tryouts and has a beautiful voice, and you share this wonderful moment. And then she turns up at your apartment, and
She's dying.
she's been stabbed, and she's dying, and she dies on your living room
She's like,
floor.
here, have my soul.
Yeah, it turns out she's the last of the muses of the Greek gods, who now live in the modern day in sort of modern
They live in
society.
a tower block, not up a mountain.
Yeah. And they are not convinced you didn't murder the last muse, because you have literally got her blood on your hands and her godly powers. And basically, they decide you've got a week to prove your innocence through the medium of being able to elicit people into musical numbers that might get them to open up about things and therefore give you useful information.
Yes. So, How long do you think it's going to take until we get lots of very horny Persephone fan art?
Oh, I guarantee that already exists. I guarantee it.
She's got real big mummy. I'm sorry, mummy.
Mummy, sorry. Yeah, honestly, all of the main cast of gods that are introduced in that first batch of, I think it's 5 in that first meeting, are all really hot. They're all really hot. This game has very hot character designs in different ways.
I have to say, I was more into Eros than Apollo, but I get it.
And look, Apollo's not usually my thing, but there was something about the way he was drawn. I was like, yeah, you're pretty alright. Yeah, I really dug this game. So, as we said, it's a musical, and a lot of the time you're just making regular dialogue choices to sort of branch conversations. At the start of the game, you pick a primary character trait that's going to define your grace. Between, smart,
kick-ass,
and charming, and that will open up some dialogue choices for you outside of...
Yeah, it's a bit like in, Fallout and things, when it's you have your perception thing,
yeah.
But in this, it's if whichever of those 3 you picked, the other 2 are just going to be blocked off from having, when that is the special...
Yeah,
do good thing.
But in songs you can pick all 3 of those, songs will progress, and then suddenly... there will be an opportunity for you to, decide what the next bit of the song will be about and what direction it will go. And I
quite enjoy that often changes the genre slightly.
Yeah, it gives you a chance to, change up the pacing of the track and sort of have an impact on how that moment will play out. There is some fun use of tropes in that, but it is an excuse for you to tell a story by picking dialogue options and then hear some cool singing.
Yes, and I'm a big fan of Austin Wintory's music anyway, but there is a thing on the, I think it's 8-bit music, 8-bit gaming music channel on YouTube that they do a breakdown about Austin Wintory's music and how the stuff was done for Stray Gods. I have it in my to-watch list and I desperately want to get round to it, but I haven't finished playing the game yet, so... But I had a really good time those first couple of hours. Obviously, my thoughts can be taken however you like, but I mean, you've had a good time.
Yeah, my big things I would say are the content warnings for this game aren't helpful.
No, because I remember you did the accessibility on it, and we were like, here is the website, here is the clicky click.
Yeah,
they're not very detailed, and then I got into the game and was like, okay, well, I'm going to click them, and they're exactly the same as on the website, and.
Yeah, so I will give as spoiler-light an example as I can give. One of those content warnings, if you expand it to read the full thing, goes, there is a scene somewhere in the middle of the game that discusses a topic that might be kind of similar in some ways, but not quite the same as suicide. Could be interpreted as suicide. And that scene, without going into specifics, is I think one of the most interesting parts in the game, but also a scene that if you had mentally prepared yourself for, okay, I'm probably okay for a scene about suicide, you might go, oh, this is not what I prepped for, and I'm going to need a second. Not because it's necessarily worse, it's just different.
Yes.
It is a very complicated, nuanced situation that the scene that is talking about, I stopped 6 or 7 times to just sit and talk philosophy with Twitch chat about, what was being proposed and why it felt similar to certain things and why it felt different to certain things and what the, long-term consequences of the decisions being made in this scene were and why I had really complicated feelings about it and talking about the complicated feelings of the characters about the scene. It was such a beautiful, interesting moment that really needed a decent content warning to, go, hey, look, you might want to know there's a weirdly specific situation coming up.
Yeah.
That is going to be heavy in ways you maybe haven't braced for.
Yeah, here are the content warnings. Here is a basic outline of those content warnings for anyone who's clicked on them. And then maybe a little ticky box.
Yeah.
That will maybe pop something up just before the scene to give you a more detailed breakdown if you think that's something that you would need.
Look at the ones I always point to are Ikenfel's great for content warnings that pop up right before a scene so you have an opportunity to know this is that moment being referenced. Tell Me Why is the standard for really good, detailed, specific content warnings that give you all the information you could need in a spoiler-free, a spoiler-free way, and then look, do you need spoilers? Okay, cool, let's just, get into it. But that quibble about how they handle content warnings aside, this game has some really good, like, complicated interpersonal relationship stuff
Yes.
and some fascinating reinterpretations of the Greek gods. I really like what they've done with a lot of them in terms of their place in this new world over time and how their interactions are played out. They do really fun twists on the established. They very much treat, Greek mythology as humans got a bit of stuff wrong. They were trying to talk about people who were much more powerful than them that they never really saw themselves.
Yes.
It's not one-to-one, but we're playing in the space. And
Yes.
they do great stuff with it.
Yeah, I thought this was some very interesting things with that. I think the art is incredible.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed, as I said, the music. Some of the characters are fascinating. I really enjoy, is it Frankie, the roommate?
Oh, Frankie the roommate is wonderful and lovely.
Pan is an amusing, entertaining dick.
Pan-
I do not trust.
Pan is the worst mistake I really want to make. You get what I mean?
Oh yeah, I get it.
You seem so fun, and I know I shouldn't trust you, at all.
You're all the red flags, but also,
Yeah, but, if you're all red flags, maybe it's not a red flag, it's a red blanket, and it'd be cozy to snuggle up under.
And also, I'm fully aware of all the red flags, but maybe we can have fun before this all blows up in my face.
Yeah, red flags, if you recognise them, are they even really red flags anymore?
Yes, they're still red flags.
Nah. But yes, I was so invested in that game, and actually, here's the other thing I want to say about this, and without going into spoilers, there are moments where I got endings to scenes and songs that I think on paper you would call the bad ending to the interaction I had.
Right.
They were clearly not the ending you would hope for, or that you would go, that's what I'm trying to achieve.
They didn't have main protagonist energy.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Did they have Greek tragedy energy?
I like that the game doesn't, course correct you back to those things working out, okay?
Right.
But also that it doesn't make it feel like a failure. It doesn't do, say, the Life is Strange Season 1 thing of, and this is how many people managed to do the thing that you sucked too much to do. It's much more like something like Disco Elysium, where it's I failed, but you gave me something really interesting for that failure, and you presented me with some interesting texture to mull over, even if it's not... I didn't get what I wanted, but I got something else that was equally rewarding.
Yeah.
Or equally interesting.
I wasn't shut out of the rest of the game, but
Yeah. It was...
We're having real Act 2 energy here.
Yeah. It felt like it established that consequences are real and, we're not gonna hold your hand to prevent them.
Yeah.
And I feel like that works for a thing about the Greek gods. They have a lot of messed up shit going on.
They are very messed up and shitty.
But yeah, that's Stray Gods.
Stray Gods, the role-playing musical.
I really recommend playing the rest of it. It is it's good. I want to replay it and try and make some of the things play out differently.
Well, we've already sort of talked about the fact that we seem to have had quite different differences between our interactions.
I'm aware of at least one character that died in my playthrough but could survive, and I only know about this because the audio description played the wrong track for a different choice, and talked about the character who had died being in that scene, and I'm like, they're not here, what the fuck?
Oopsie doodle.
Oopsie doodle. Yeah, also the audio descriptions are a little wonky in places. Sometimes they will start randomly in the middle of a dialogue sentence, in the middle of a word, not even cut between two words.
Yeah.
There's a few things that are a bit iffy about them, but I'm glad they're there rather than not.
Also, I think the big subtitles should be bigger, just saying.
Oh, yeah, no, you could never make the biggest subtitles too big.
Yeah, it's I selected the largest size, and they're not that fucking big. But also, I really would have loved an option to have them, the last set of subtitles just stay on the screen.
The accessibility page makes it seem like that is the case, and then it isn't in the game. There was a thing in the accessibility page that said the text would remain on screen.
Yeah, I had serious trouble, especially because I'd done the thing where it's you can pause the choices, because I often struggle with, having time to read the thing,
and now let's
process it and make an answer.
Yeah.
I like that. That is like, there seems to be a good amount of time to make that decision, or those decisions, but, or even, like, to just completely freeze it, but especially when you're doing something like streaming, I mean, I have ADHD, so fuck knows if it would be necessarily much better if I wasn't, but, like, all those times and stuff where you're playing a little bit of stream attacks, it's like, I already don't remember what we were singing about, and I have a, like, 3 or 4 word description of what I'm going to choose to say next. Maybe it's got a mood attached to it, but I really can't remember what the impact of this decision is going to be. Could I maybe have a little summary somewhere, or even like a little, here is a log of the last, the journal log of chat log or something like that. Something like that would be really helpful, thanks. But yeah, other than that, still very much enjoying it, looking forward to going back to it, and I will probably stream some more of that on Thursday.
Yeah.
What about you? Have you played anything else?
The only other thing I very, very early started playing, I've started playing Baldur's Gate 3.
Ooh.
The thing that, the Dungeons and Dragons video game that everyone's playing at the moment.
Are they?
Yeah, it's
me.
the big game that everyone's into. It plays really nicely on the Steam Deck. That was one thing that got me into playing it, was knowing that it ran well on the Steam Deck, and I've got travel coming up, and I'm like, fuck it, this might be the trip where I take the Steam Deck with me to, if I've got time while traveling to play
Is it still
some
using, like,
chunky games.
3.5, which, because I think original Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2 was
Baldur's
3.5?
Gate 3 is based on 5e.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's based on 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, but they're telling their own story. I'm very early on, but the gist is, you're in the setting of Dungeons and Dragons, your typical sort of fantasy setting.
It's Faerun, right?
Yeah.
It's,
Faerun. And it starts right when the world is being invaded by the Illithids, who are basically the first introduction that most D&D players have to aliens in the setting. They are squid men, tentacle-faced squid men with psychic powers that will put a tadpole in your eye and let it eat its way into your brain and turn you into a squid person too.
Om nom nom.
Om nom nom, tasty squid people. They're rules as written in D&D, they are basically, we are conquerors, you are nothing to us, we are going to turn you into more of us. Submit.
What if person-sized Cthulhu could just explode your brain by thinking about it real hard?
Exactly, and, fly around the galaxy in just like a big squid ship.
Yep.
Doing all sorts of chaos. It is very Dungeons and Dragons. Don't go into this looking for anything that's outside of, like, the core player handbook. In terms of, like, your species
and backseat, damn it.
Yeah, species and races, you're not going to be getting your Aarakocra, your Tabaxi, you're going to be getting, standard core 5th edition stuff to play with. But there is, like, a good amount of, like, creating your character at the start of this does feel like going through and creating a character sheet in... It feels like making a character sheet in D&D Beyond, specifically.
Right.
Where it's like, pick your class, pick your subclass, pick your what class you're gonna
school of
your species,
magical way, really?
Pick your sort of like specialization. Here are all the available spells you can learn that are either actions or bonus actions, and here's their like ranges on the table of how far they reach, and here's how many spell slots you've got, and what's your background, and these are the bonuses your background will give you. It is very under the hood. It is 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, but like proper Dungeons and Dragons, not podcast D&D.
It's proper Dungeons and Dragons, so, like, if you're someone that plays D&D with a group of people who don't worry about encumbrance,
or the number of arrows.
Yeah, the number of arrows, or things like that, you are going to have to get used to, okay, I have to play with those rules I don't like from D&D. It's been so long since I've played a game with fucking encumbrance, with weight limits in D&D. Although at least for encumbrance, you can automatically send stuff from your inventory to a chest in town without having to go to town. So you can just offload stuff out your pockets if you...
Seems a bit irrelevant then.
Yeah, it's there because D&D has it. There's a few choices like that.
Yeah.
But I like some of the ways that things are implemented in that, like, if you've got an option to do a skill check, like let's say you're in the middle of a conversation, you've got an intimidation check option, you can press a button to go, remind me what my modifiers are for that, so I can see, like, is this a thing I'm good at as a skill? before you like commit to trying to do the roll. You don't know how difficult then and there it's going to be.
So you can occasionally pop the hood on the game
Yeah,
and
you're
just
like,
be like, what are the numbers
it's like
going into this?
click the right stick to go like, hey, what's my stat on that? Cool.
Yeah.
And then you try and do the roll, and once you've like committed and can't back out of it, it will tell you this is the number you're trying to beat. Do the roll. Watch the 3D dice roll around. Did you get your successful roll? I know I brought up Disco Elysium already on the show today when talking about Stray Gods a bit, but this feels in a lot of ways very familiar to Disco Elysium in terms of negative results to rolls usually leading to a funny variation of what's going on. It's not you failed and we're going to like the first botched roll we're gonna like rip one of your arms off. It's you're gonna have a scene where someone else has the control of the situation, perhaps, and that might lead to something else down the line. But it'll be content all the same, just different sort of content. It works pretty well on controllers once you get your head around the control scheme, which is basically each character's turn. Tap left bumper to pull up a radial wheel, find the thing you want to use the analog stick to select the target. It's not that bad. There is a lot of combat. This is D&D by way of you're going to have to think about the fact that to get from one town to the next, you are going to have to fight 6 or 7 groups of goblins on the way to get your experience. And
can we not just flirt with goblins?
I mean, there have been flirting opportunities, and I've seen flirting opportunities yet to come, but you can't just get to a random goblin and go, can I not fight you by flirting, please? Or at least early on, that hasn't been offered to me yet. The characters seem fun. I want to get further into it. It seems like a game that is like pretty ridiculously packed with a lot of content to see. Like a surprising amount of content, but
I guess it wants to try and do you can go anywhere and do anything.
Yeah. The thing that like early on most stands out is the game is not subtle when there are opportunities it wants you to take.
Right.
At least the opening is a little like playing with a slightly railroady DM. On the first little section, you are on a ship and you're trying to work out how to get off the ship, and there is a character in a pod banging and asking for help, and there's a thing next to them that is missing something to be plugged into it, and you could go leave the ship, or you could save this person, maybe that would lead to something. And the whole time, it's like, okay, that's a party member. It's very clear. You've given them design and voice, and that's a party member, and you say I can ignore them. It's a party. Like, there's some transparency that's, like, not necessarily one-to-one with D&D, but, like, I like the idea of what's here, and I can see myself getting really sunk into it. I will come back next episode, probably, to have more of intelligence to say. But I got to play as a tiefling bard, which is great, but I wish I could change out of the fucking jester-looking outfit.
Yeah, that wasn't... It's weird, like, I guess Dungeons and Dragons sort of seats itself in medieval fantasy, but that's never the sort of stuff I particularly think about people wearing whenever I play D&D.
Yes. It's when you play something like Baldur's Gate 3 that you go, rules as written, there are aspects of the setting that I just don't think about.
Yeah.
I don't imagine them in medieval fantasy garb.
Yeah, I don't imagine nearly that many ruffs.
Right. I'm a tiefling. I'm allergic to ruffles.
Right.
But yeah, I've started playing Baldur's Gate 3. I'll come back, presumably mildly addicted in a bit. You played anything else this week?
I mean, a little bit. I got a Steam Deck. Woo!
Yeah.
It's mostly been like trying out things on Steam Deck. Obviously, first thing I did was Aperture Desk Job. Boy, howdy, that makes that system hot.
Yeah, it's a really nice...
it seemed to be designed for it.
It's a really nice showcase of the tech, but it sure does run warm. I've played more graphically intensive games that did not run as hot. Elden Ring doesn't run as hot on the Steam Deck.
Yeah, I was like, well, if we have trouble with the gas meter this year, I know what I'll be playing to keep warm. Aperture Desk Job. I did enjoy the fact that it's obviously like a good way of testing all of the features of the game.
Yeah.
Or of the system, rather. And that has sort of come into the whole like games that aren't specifically for Steam Deck. Like Vampire Survivor basically treats the whole thing like a cross between a mobile device and a controller.
Yeah.
Which is cool because you can do the on-screen joystick stuff. You can do like pausing and menu selecting and things like that, which can be quite good for things like selecting the Arcana cards. Quite appreciate that. But other things that I wouldn't have, I didn't know about up front going into the system, and I probably wouldn't have found out any other way if it wasn't for having played that as a tech demo.
Yeah.
Things like put your thumb on the stick, but you don't have to press anything. It now will do something slightly different.
It knows that your thumb is resting on the stick even if you haven't moved the stick.
Yeah.
I've yet to see a game other than Aperture Desktop use that. But...
Well, the reason it's come up since for me is using it for FPS games. Because if you set the sensitivity quite high and you can just rest your thumb on that and do first person FPS games and just do I'm going to do a little bit of just free looking by
gyro
but using the gyros, or you can do the same thing with the trackpad as well, so you can make micro adjustments on that by using the gyro, but using but much smaller ones by just moving your thumb across it. And also I really like the trackpads, they're quite rumbly and fun. I like Planet Crafter, I've talked about a whole bunch.
Yeah.
I started a new save on that, and although that is very difficult to be trying to learn a whole new controller that you're also dipping out into menus to change all the buttons on, there are community ones, but I mainly just wanted to faff with the tech.
Yeah.
Because not a lot of it is super well explained, apart from, here is the thing, try it out.
Look, under the veneer of a console or handheld, it is very much a Linux PC that you gotta fuck around with.
Fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm I quite enjoyed futzing around with that, and just you just hold a thumb on that, or working out what can be a left click and a right click, making sure that the game itself isn't detecting it at all as a joypad.
Yeah.
So you can just go, yup, that stick is WASD now, and this is a mouse controller, and these I'm doing to open menus and stuff.
Yeah.
I love the buttons on the back of the controller.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to get that much use out of them, but there were a couple of times it's I could put this button on the back of that controller and I would feel so much happier about it.
It's really nice to have the stuff if you go into emulation and you emulate stuff like the DS, to be I want to put one screen on one screen and have a back button I can tap to swap what screen is visible, or things like that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess. DS stuff would be perfect for things like that.
I like the touchpads.
I love them, especially when they're rumbly.
Yeah,
because I'll occasionally just sit there and just run my thumb over them.
Yeah, they make a little bit of a rumble as you sort of tactilely roll across them.
Yes.
I don't know how better to explain it other than it's sort of like spinning like a rollerball mouse roller and having a little bit of just mild ridges it's bumping across.
Yeah, but also I think that would be really good for some classic arcade games. Because one thing you struggle about with things even in something like the MAME emulator is this doesn't necessarily work for things like Centipede, which used a trackball.
Yes.
That sort of games that had a trackball, that little trackpad is perfect for that.
It's such a nice solution for controller-based mouse control.
Yeah, I love it.
I guarantee there's people who would love if console manufacturers produced a controller that was this is for your console games, but it's got these on it, so you can act as if you've got...
the Steam controller have
that? The Steam controller did. It's great. More companies need to do that as an option, because it's a really nice, I want to precisely move a little thing around.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I've had fun faffing about with that. I played, a little bit of Planet Crafter, a lot of Vampire Survivor, because apparently I reset my PC save at some point and hadn't got half of the unlocks, so it's ooh, another excuse to go through the rest of this. What else did I play? I played some Death Trap, which is something I apparently had in my Steam library that I've never heard of before. The joys of things that work on Steam Deck and then filter by is a green tick or a yellow question mark. and just going, oh, there's apparently shit in my Steam library I probably was never going to remember to play, but apparently I redeemed a code for it at some point.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I went out of my way to buy this game.
No, but again, like, seeing that little, like, this works well on Steam Deck is a really nice excuse to be like, maybe I'll give that a try.
One thing I did notice is that GTA San Andreas has the yellow question mark. It's like,
Yeah.
you know what? That doesn't run on my fucking PC. So if it runs on the Steam Deck, I'll be quite happy.
There have been some weird games where it's like, Baldur's Gate 3 is apparently an example that, like, has an easier time running on Steam Deck than regular PC. And I'm like, cool.
You know what I would love to come out of all of this is, like, more people pushing to be like, the game runs really well on Linux.
I mean...
Because I would love an excuse to fuck Windows off after all these years.
No, I've remembered the really good example of games running better on Steam Deck than they do on regular PC. Elden Ring is the big one.
Yeah.
Because they really wanted to get Elden Ring running well because the Steam Deck was new and exciting. So they made specific performance patches targeting, like, we know what hardware the Steam Deck is, so we can console-style tailor in the performance.
Yeah.
But they also had, like, while they were working on it, they caught some bug fixes and stuff. It was a better version than the PC version at launch. It was weird.
One thing that I hope that the popularity or the increased interest from manufacturers, at least, for this type of thing, because I think Asus are talking about doing like a handheld PC thing.
I think they've got one. Is the ROG Ally, I think, is an Asus machine?
I didn't know if it was already out, but yeah, I think that is the one. But yes, I hope we get more UI scaling. Because the number of things that come up on the Steam Deck and it's like, it's got a yellow question mark. What's the problem with it? Well, you're going to need to pop the software keyboard out manually, because that's going to be required and it's not always going to come up. But also, you're going to need, the UI is going to be very, very small in some cases, and there's just nothing you can do to change that.
Yeah.
And I really hope that, that becomes like a bigger thing on a lot of like PC type games in the future, because that I think that is the main issue a lot of games seem to have, is like we don't have any UI scaling. Like, come on,
right?
Yeah, it is a fascinating bit of kit, and I am sort of exploring it. I do wish it was like more the list of things rather than the big screen mode icons.
Yeah,
because sometimes it's just like, I'm struggling to find things, but also I am apparently finding things that I didn't even know I had.
Yeah, it's definitely got a place in my gaming life. There are certain games that just feel at home on it.
Yeah, but also it's like a good thing of going, well, I guess I don't have to play this on something else, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Like the number of times I've wanted to gone, I want to play this on handheld, but if I buy it on Switch, it's going to be like 6 times the price.
Yes. Yeah.
I love you, Switch. I appreciate your lightness compared to the Steam Deck, but also your games are fucking expensive.
Indeed. The Steam Deck is the size and weight that I'm not always going to take it when traveling, but also it's nice to be able to play certain games on the sofa. Is that everything you've played this week?
Yeah, I think that's everything.
Well then, time for this.
Good morning. You would be Professor J. Blackheart?
Oh, yes. Welcome. Come in.
Okay. You are aware that today you are being inspected for safety concerns?
Yes, but I'm sure you will find that you've never had an OSHA complaint about my secret evil lair. I have made sure you've never received an OSHA complaint.
Well, there has been some concerns, I understand, from a number of government organisations.
Oh, them, they don't work here, they don't count.
That certain people who might be in the espionage field, who would be considered to be working where they enter into this facility.
Well, see, the thing is, they are, regardless of what their job is, they are entering my premises without permission. They are trespassing on the premises, and at that point, my understanding is you cannot file an OSHA complaint if you are injured trespassing in a workplace. And I, as such, think that the fact that some of them may have stepped on a trapdoor that made them fall into a pit of sharks is not something I can get in trouble for.
Yes, but I would need to inspect the latches on these trapdoors to the sharks. And also that the shark facilities are all up to standards.
You will you?
Yes, I would need to do that.
Okay, well, how about this? You can go inspect them now. The hatch is just over there.
Okay, well, if you could just trigger that for me, and I'll just observe.
Oh, no,
from
it's
here.
a little further along. Take a couple more steps forward.
No, it's fine. I'll observe from here, and obviously approach once it's open. Obviously, that'll be safe, and I'll be able to set up a cordon for that around. I must say, I'm very glad to see all of your hench persons here wearing appropriate hard hats.
Yes, they are.
And high-vis, lots of the orange jumpsuits certainly are.
Yep. I mean, it
choice.
does mean if I have to fire any of them out of a cannon as a rudimentary projectile, they are sort of somewhat protected, so I can reuse the ammunition.
So you're firing your...
I said if I did hypothetical.
Right, okay. Just note that down. Okay. And this electrocution device, I have noticed you have here suspended from the ceiling. That electrifies the entire floor, is that correct?
Yes, for rapid recharging purposes.
Well, I do notice that everyone is wearing appropriate rubber gloves and footwear, so I suppose I will have to mark you as okay for that.
Yes, anyway, what are your shoes made of by any chance?
Oh, very, 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 very vulcanized rubber.
Oh, what a shame.
Yes, well, when you go to lots of evil layers to do inspections, you do get used to this sort of thing, I must say. Hence the mind control film on the inside of the hard hat here. Can't be too careful, of course.
Of course.
Now, what is this ray device over here?
It's it is a OSHA inspector uniform cleaning ray. It sort of tidies up your uniform. I got it out special. I knew you'd be here today.
And the wiring, has this all been pat tested?
Yes.
Okay.
Pat. Yes.
Okay, well, if you could just show me where you keep your risk assessment manuals.
Oh, I keep them right here on the big red X on the floor.
Wait, well, I'm not seeing them.
There's that little you see the little bookshelf just right next to it. You just got to stand on the X and look at the bookshelf.
This bookshelf here?
Yeah, there's one right there.
Right.
Yes. One step forward so you can really sort of see in the shelf.
Professor Blackheart, freezing me is not appropriate. I'm a government inspector.
Look, if I give you one good solid push, you will slide all the way across the layer and off the cliff. So, if I were you, I'd be pleased that this is the worst you got.
Where did you get a cliff in Hackney? I must say, this property here that you have, I think it looks perfect. It does seem to be going at a very low price. So there's no current owners, no chain you've mentioned.
No, completely available. It's a lovely home. Many years of good living here.
Living, yes, yeah. Well, we know we are thinking about maybe renovating here and there, and just to have a nice place. Because I'm an artist, so it'd be nice to be able to do some photography, a little bit of clay work, some large canvas pieces, and I think with all the extra rooms here, obviously we're not going to be having a staff or anything like that, so it'd be nice to just have a large creative space. Is there anything wrong with it? I mean, it's very old, obviously, and maybe the wiring, I would understand, might need refreshing, but the price does seem exceptionally low, and there's no mention of the previous owners at all.
Oh, no, nothing at all to worry about. Nothing at all. It's just, the market being what the market is. Sometimes this happens. The house just goes cheap,
So we can arrange a viewing soon.
Oh, no. 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 No.
No?
No.
Now listen, if I'm going to be spending even this much on a house, I really do need to have a proper viewing first.
Oh, you don't need a viewing.
Look, I really must insist. Look, I will not purchase this unless I can have a proper look around today. A short cab ride later. Well, I must say this doorway is very large indeed. The woodwork, I see the woodwork is absolutely fine. It's gorgeous, slightly gothic. I love the gothiciness.
Yeah, it's lovely. Well, let's continue looking around the outside and not opening the doors and going in.
No, now come on. I must. Oh, the door's open, and also strangely sticky. That's fine. We give it a rub down, I guess. It has been.
I don't think a rub down will help.
Has been a particularly.
Just a door creaking. That was just a door creaking. There was nothing else happening. There was just a door creaking.
Well, I suppose these old buildings, they are prone to strange noises and.
Creaky floorboard, that one.
It sounded almost like a moan.
Almost like, but not. It was a creaky floorboard.
Right. Now, is dampness a problem inside the... This house is haunted, isn't it? With an O.
It might be haunted.
I'll take it. So, what have you put in your eyes? What have you watched?
Not a lot of stuff that I'm going to talk about this week. Continue to support the Riot Strike, the Riot Strike and the Actor Strike, WGA and SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah, and they have a fund to keep them striking.
Indeed, if you can chuck something into that, that's great. Also, the VFX artists at Marvel are striking, so hell yes, long overdue.
General strike.
But I've been watching some stuff on YouTube that I can talk about.
Yeah.
Last night, I baffled at the things that human beings other than me are capable of doing.
Okay.
We had on Can I Beat 4 Blind Games of Magic at Once on the YouTube channel Card Market Magic.
That was fucking wild.
Yeah. So the deal was this one person was playing 4 different games of Magic the Gathering at once, where he was able to see his starting hand for each game, and all of the moves that other players made were narrated, but he was facing away. He could not see the table, so he had to keep in mind.
I couldn't even tell if he was in the same room looking at that video.
He was on a chair, literally swiveled facing away from the table, being moved along to the different spots on the table, but facing away. But yes, he had to remember how many lands he had out, what creatures he had out, what creatures his opponent had out, what his life and his opponent's life were.
Tokens, buffs, enchantments, sorceries.
And if he tried to do a thing and was unable to, and the conditions just did not exist, tough luck, it's gonna flub. You will have to just live with that. He won 3 out of his 4 games.
Yeah.
It was a marvel to see. The one he lost track of his life, thought he was on 8, and therefore could take an attack of 4 damage without having to use up his blocks.
Mm-hmm.
No, he was on 2 health. He just lost track of his health. But 3 out of 4 games.
Imagine that having a working memory.
Yeah, a working memory, probably a visual memory. The ability to
Must be nice.
Keep independent memory states going is fucking bonkers.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
On a similar note, watched a video called "My 6-Sleeved Deck Got Deck Checked" by DM Armada on YouTube.
Yes.
Which was, do you remember the name of the card game? It
was Flesh and Blood?
Flesh and Blood, Flesh and Bone, something like that.
It's one of the new Richard Garfield ones, I think.
Yes, but the gist was, I want to work out how many card sleeves I can place over other card sleeves and functionally have a deck of multi-sleeved cards. Which got into some interesting conversations about where you go looking for standard, just slightly larger than average side card sleeves.
Yeah, and I was sitting there going, go to Sleeve Kings. They've got so many ridiculous sizes.
It's go looking for weird board games that have just off model card sizes
and find brands. I reckon the real answer would have been find brands, not necessarily Sleeve Kings, but Sleeve Kings that do. Hey, have you got a board game with cardboard cardboard board bits, or separate board bits. Like, I've managed to sleeve my tiny epic zombies, where the board for that is 9 large oversized cards that you then put everything else on. Like, that is like a perfect example of, I bet once you get to a certain number of card sleeves, that would be like a good thing to manage on.
Spoilers, he's not allowed to use it in a tournament with that many sleeves on.
Although they only skinned him down to 4, and that was only because there had been grease trapped between sleeves.
The problem layer, I think, was the one where it was like sports, designed for sports memorabilia cards, which are not cards that have to be like free of visual imperfections on the sleeve to make sure that you're not like using them as markings.
Yeah, but the fact that they were oily felt like that they weren't necessarily really good quality, which is weird because it feels like as far as I understand, like in America, like baseball cards are like serious fucking business.
I'm sure there is.
I don't know
some
if modern ones are.
I'm sure there's some logic to it, but I still feel like he could have gotten away with it if the last outer sleeve had an opaque back, had like a solid colour back to it.
Probably, yeah.
I think he could have probably gotten away with it, but it was an interesting watch.
Yeah, going all transparent for that, I think, just added an extra layer of difficulty that didn't need to be there.
And the last one I'll throw out that I watched this week was the first episode of Pokemon Path to the Peak, which is a little 10-minute episodes animated series on YouTube about a little girl wanting to play the Pokemon trading card game, like the real world trading card game in a world that does not have Pokemon but does have Pokemon cards. I felt very old when this child was getting her mum's old hand-me-down Gen 1 Pokemon cards that she doesn't need anymore, and I'm like, oh no. I am that adult with the old person stuff from the past, oh no.
Yep. Except you also have like a lot of modern cards.
Oh
so.
yeah.
You know well enough not to play with your Gen 1 cards.
Yeah, no, I was watching this going like, yeah, you're playing with your mum's Gen 1 set, power creep means you're never gonna fucking win.
But also, you should probably sleeve that.
Yeah, there's probably a couple of valuable ones in there if they're original and not reprint. It's fun, it was sweet, I like the idea of the main character. It reminds me of, there's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga that never got adapted officially to English that is about this very same sort of thing, of someone trying to play the real world trading card game and build their way up to tournament level, following the real world rules of the card game, playing in like little local card shops and stuff. And I like that idea, and I want more stuff like that. And
I'm surprised there hasn't been like a serious anime of like like a sports anime of some CCG.
Yeah, I genuinely think like Pokemon will never do it now because they've satiated themselves with this.
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh! I still think Yu-Gi-Oh! Could pull it off and would do it. Like they almost tried to do it. Like I thought that's what they were going to do with Yu-Gi-Oh! GX when it's like it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling School, and it's like no, we're doing just as much mystical bullshit. And I do love the mystical bullshit, but I do want to just see like completely straight faced played like.
Give us the Android Netrunner fucking serious anime.
Yeah, of just people very seriously sat at a table doing their Yu-Gi-Oh!
I'd watch the shit out of that.
Yeah. What about you? What have you watched this week?
Well, it's not been a lot of things that I'm going to talk about, support the writer's strike. But I did watch on Graham Stark's personal channel, as opposed to Loading Ready Run.
Yeah.
It was every Olympic and Paralympic mascot. Not necessarily rated, but sort of talked about from, like, a design perspective and, like, the naming decisions and what else happened with that character. Like, did they get their own animation series? Did that series, in one case, run for 100 fucking episodes? It was quite fascinating, especially, like, going from... This was the first one that I could find. It's an actual dog that was born on the site or found at the site while they were building the stadium. And at the ceremony, they just got it a little, like, jacket to put on that just said mascot and had the 5 ring logo on it.
Yeah.
It's like, yay! You were the mascot dog. Cool. To, like, the London Olympic Games, which had those weird squiggle creatures with the eyes.
Oh, yes.
Which I remember seeing them at the time. Like, I remember being very grumpy about the Olympics for a lot of reasons at the time, going, we haven't got the money for this, why the fuck are we applying for this? Mm-hmm. Nothing will be done with this, and it will absolutely be destroyed within a couple of years because the Tories won't fund to keep the infrastructure in place. And it certainly won't become usable by, the people who live locally to the services and, maybe could use a proper sized swimming pool and gym facilities and all the other good shit there. But no. Anyway, enough of the grumbling.
I have a very different relationship with the London Olympics, and that's only because my mum carried the Olympic flame for part of its journey, and that was a whole thing.
It was a whole thing. That was very cool, though. I've seen some of the pictures. Yeah. But, I didn't realise that those weird creatures, their eyes were supposed to be cameras, which, as Graham pointed out, is a weird choice for one of the most surveilled cities on the fucking planet. Yeah. And, but also, those characters, the backstory of them is that they are, leftover bits of metal when they were welding the stadium together, the Millennium Dome together.
Hmm.
Weird choice, I guess, that someone turned into these creatures. But, the one that sort of made me smile, I think, the most was going back to the 1988 Seoul Olympic Games, because I was in primary school at the time, I was thinking, in my last year at primary school, or heading towards that, and the kid that sat next to me in primary school was originally from South Korea, and had, so much fucking Olympic merch that, Mum had managed to pick up before they moved, before they moved to the UK. And, I was just fascinated by this tiny little animated tiger, and, it gave me the warm fuzzies thinking about, joint science projects about the planets and so forth that I did in primary school with one of the few children my age that I ever talked to. Yeah. But it was a little tiger. And then just seeing some of them which are just, weird corporate logo art, some fascinating anime-type characters, weird little European, almost folk creatures that have been done at various times. And then the surprising number of animations made from these mascots for the Olympics and Paralympics, and then, even talking about the history of going from, they had completely separate characters to, that they were designed by the same people. There came a whole synchronizing point where the Olympics got their mascot and the Paralympics got their mascot done by the same artists, so that they would be in a very similar style, and eventually releasing them at the same time. Yeah, and that becoming more of the two are very much aligned. Yeah, this isn't different Olympics. Yeah, it is, but it's not.
I get what you mean.
They should be given the same,
yes.
I want to say priority, but that's not the word I mean.
Prominence.
Prominence, that's the one. I gotcha. There. Yeah. But that was a fascinating watch, and it's a 40-minute video. If you want to see a history of fascinating and bizarre Olympic mascots throughout history. The other thing is something we watched together, was on the Drawfee channel, turning my childhood favourite media into modern art.
Yes.
So there's been a whole thing recently on the Drawfee channel of, rather than everybody draws a thing based on a theme and maybe a suggestion, to one artist will do a big thing or a couple of big pieces based on a suggestion. Yes. And Karina really went all out for these pieces.
There was some multimedia work going on.
Yeah, there was a whole just drawn art stuff on PC.
I'm going to make little clay models and then photograph them, then put them back into my digital painting program and then use them as part of the art.
Yes, some of it had very vaporwave type aesthetic. Fascinating. Obviously, a lot of it was pop culture referencey stuff. So you had some Pokemon and Hamtaro, I think, was in there as well. It was a really fascinating and different thing. Just really getting into go wild with art. Yeah, pick a style, do whatever you want, do however you want, and Karina really fucking went for it, and that was an amazing one. I would put that right up there with Julia's fucking polyclay Luigi.
Oh god, yeah.
With the for the Luigi's Mansion style piece that was
sort
done.
of as a sort of Wallace and Gromit-esque.
Yes, like an Aardman animation.
Yeah.
Luigi's Mansion. It was beautiful, and if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth a look up.
Yeah.
What about you? Have you looked at any other things?
That's about it for stuff I've put in my eyes. I've been busy getting ready for travel, so I've not had a lot of eye time.
And I've just been working. Well then.
Time for this.
Hey Laura.
Yes?
We've got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, do you like merch?
I mean, yeah.
Do you like stuff related to the stuff that you're into?
I sometimes like having stuff that's related to the stuff I'm into, yeah.
Right, well, what were you into, 2 years ago?
I mean, that's a while ago. I don't know, what was I into about 2 years ago?
How would you like a Good Place Funko Pop?
I mean, I was into the Good Place. A Funko Pop? So-so.
Okay, well, what about a nice enamel Brooklyn Nine-Nine pin?
I mean, not so much really, that show's good, but, conversations about propaganda and all that.
Oh, okay, well, what about a tiny kit knockoff, almost an android but not quite, from the second season of One Day at a Time?
We're getting closer, maybe? I don't know. Who's our sponsor? What's going on?
All of this and more could be yours if you sign up to the monthly subscription from Not a Tat Box.
Oh, that's a suspicious name.
Yeah, just head over to notatatbox.lol.net and enter the code Q&PS 270 something or other. You'll have to spell that yourself. And you'll get a box containing nerd memorabilia. Yes, you heard those air quotes.
Yeah, anything specific, or,
It definitely isn't things they just couldn't sell off, and may have overproduced massively.
Oh god, is this just convention random lucky dip boxes?
Do you want a 6-inch figure of a background character I do not recognise from the first season of Stranger Things? Because it looks like, the Kenner Star Wars toys from the 80s.
Sure, Google them and see that they have a Wikipedia, a wiki entry, despite me not remembering ever having seen them.
They'll probably be on the fan wiki. Well, you can get all of this stuff and more, and they promise that you probably won't find that the values of these things won't just drop off within the first 2 months of you signing up. But right now, you can get this month's box, which I believe is themed very specifically on 2021 Netflix specials.
Ah.
Yep.
Fun.
Do you want some dark-themed chewing gum?
Some what?
It was that German Stranger Things thing.
Oh, that thing?
Yeah.
I genuinely don't know if I want that.
Well, you can get it. That's notatatbox.lol.net. Enter the code Q&PS 270 something or other, and you can get a discount. Doesn't say how much or for how long, but you can get it if you want those things. So sign up.
I could just go buy a thing that I would like.
An actual thing that you
Yeah.
like? What?
But I know what it is and I like it.
What? You don't want a pre-faded t-shirt from the She-Ra series?
Oh god, yeah, that will be in there, huh?
Yup. It's got one of the random horde troopers in it.
Uh-huh.
It's pre-faded. Is that... Remember the pre-faded
yeah,
style?
Yeah, I know.
Inside the boardroom of Supremacy Software.
Hi. So, we're in a bit of trouble.
Why? Do you remember when we used to have these meetings and it was all, yeah, we're gonna remove clothes from some of the people.
I know.
We'll have bigger guns.
Yeah, I know. So
We're going to give ourselves a nice bonus, and now it's, this person's in trouble. Oh, we're in trouble. Oh, we've lost money. We're going to have to pay someone. Ooh.
Yeah, well, look, I'm trying to avoid paying anyone, but I'll let you know what's going on. So, we were organizing the next tournament for Call of Duty.
Right.
Because everyone pays their entry fees, we make a lot of money, And we decided to host next year's competition in a lovely little island,
right.
Beautiful, wonderful views.
Nice.
We were like, let's host it in Hawaii. Why not?
Right.
And
Hawaii not.
Hawaii not, right. And apparently people have been asking people not to visit there for a while. It's a whole thing of like, please do not come here. Please do not tell people to come here. Our country, our island is being destroyed. Please leave us alone. And apparently we picked a bad choice by, sending a bunch of sweating nerds over there.
But we can just build them a new one.
Well, see, that's what I was thinking. Is like,
we're investing. We're bringing money into. I was going to say the country, but it's a state, right?
Yeah, I made the same mistake there. It's surrounded by water. That sounds like an island to me.
I'd have said so, right?
Right. So,
is Britain a state?
Probably.
Nice.
The shittiest one.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to work out, what's the smallest gesture we can do to seem sorry about this?
Like a $5 gift card for, a pizza or something.
I mean, I feel like we, scale that back. We make it a gift card for some Call of Duty. I say we make it a gift card for some Call of Duty in-game credit.
Oh, just some shooty bucks.
Yeah, we give them some shooty bucks.
Right.
Because then if they want to use them, they're going to have to probably open a couple of loot boxes. We get, first one's free. We got you in.
Right, yeah. Just a loot box then. Or even a key to one of the loot boxes that we may have already given you.
Yeah, maybe we just maybe even less than that. We put a screen when the game boots up for a week until everyone forgets about it that says, Hawaii, they have feelings too. We are aware of that.
Yeah.
Not saying we did anything wrong, but going them, they feel things.
Yeah.
Are you not mad? Have you stopped being mad at us yet?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the standard thing, we keep it as vague as possible, as, toothless as possible, and, maybe we can get one of the Disney characters in or something.
You are a fucking genius.
No, you are a fucking genius.
We are fucking geniuses.
Yeah, we are. Now, where's my tactical sunscreen? So, what about your ear holes? What's gone in there? What sounds have you reverberated?
I've got a couple of new bits in my ears. Or a couple of new bits and one bit that I'd heard before, but I've just been a little bit mildly obsessed with this week.
Okay.
So I listened to a cover of the song Judas, originally by Lady Gaga, covered by a band called Pollyanna.
Oh yeah, I think I talked about this on a long ago.
I think you might have done, but it came up in my my recommended tracks to check out this week. It's a really fun, it's a heavy rock cover of the track, but it retains some of that sort of electronic influence. It's a really nice cover.
Yeah.
I'm realizing over time more and more that I'm a real sucker for a lot of Lady Gaga tracks. There's a lot of Lady Gaga tracks that have really burrowed their way into my subconscious, and I'm like, oh yeah, I could sing at the top of my lungs to this.
You were that age. It was very much that. It was the music that was on and around.
I mean, yeah,
when
but
you were having
even
some
so,
of your formative years.
I think a part of it is Judas is a really great example of a track that scratches a very specific itch of me, not just being at the right age for it, but being queer and leaving the church at the time that there was this very specifically queer femme artist doing this song that was sort of using biblical references as a way to sort of establish being okay with yourself. And there's something about that that's I really dig that.
Yeah.
I also listened to a track that, clips of it have been doing the rounds on TikTok for a while, but the full song came out this evening. Planet of the Bass by DJ Crazy Times.
Yes, I have seen endless samples of this on TikTok recently.
Yeah, so the gist of this is that this is this is just a man from, I think he's from like Boston or somewhere in America, trying to capture a very specific flavor of like
Europop.
90s Europop.
Yeah. I saw someone caption it as every Eurovision entry from like the early 2000s.
Right. And the thing that caught my interest was I originally started seeing it pop up in the context of people going like, look, I'm a second generation person in America. My mum thinks she can speak English better than she can. These people grew up in like English speaking households. How are they nailing my mum's weird mannerisms this perfectly? Like the kind of misuse of words is spot on in a way that's unsettling. And I'm like, okay, yeah, the quality with which they have like parodied the thing they're trying to parody is impressive. From the just a man in the background shouting just random words that don't really have much connection to the lead female singer's what she's got going on.
Yes.
To clips of the song that sometimes just have a different woman where the main woman's meant to be. To the full song having the most late 90s, early 2000s thing possible. Stopping to have a phone call in the middle of the song and using that as your bridge is two people having a phone conversation. And I didn't realize until I heard it that I was like, oh god, this is unlocking memories in me. I want to read just a single lyric from the start of the track to give you a sense of what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
All the women in the world, let me see your beautiful faces. Oh, I've got an idea. World peace.
I'm into it.
Just very, very dramatically sung. Me and the people I go to anime conventions
The nerds.
with. Yeah, the nerds. We've already been, there's a couple of lines that, like, we've been shouting back and forth at each other, and I suspect this upcoming weekend we're probably going to be quoting at each other a lot.
I have a feeling that if there is a disco at this event, like there is at MCM...
Oh, I guarantee.
That y'all are going to be, like, screaming this.
Yeah, so to give you just a couple of my favourite lines. Life, it never die. Women are my favourite guy. Sex, I'm wanting more. Tell the world, stop the war. I'm like, yep. Cyber system overload, everybody movement. It's weirdly good at capturing the thing it's trying to do.
It's got very early 2000s hardstyle, like German hardstyle.
Yeah.
We want to put the lyrics in English because albums sell better when they're in English, but I don't speak perfect English.
Yes. It's the gist of the message comes across, and it is everybody dance, stop the war, world peace.
Yes, please.
Also, there's aliens.
Sometimes there are aliens.
Sometimes there's aliens. Yeah, it's well worth a watch. And the last one, which, like, I'd heard before, but this week I've just been I've been a little bit obsessed with this track this week.
Mm.
A track called Hi Ren, by an artist called Ren. Are you aware of this track?
Maybe.
Clips of it did the rounds on TikTok for a while, like, maybe 6 months ago.
Oh, is this the one that was getting, like, ripped to pieces by right-wingers because they were convinced it was MCR, like, making people depressed, like, children depressed or something?
I don't...
Is it that person?
I don't know. So here's what I can tell you. The guy, Ren, the short version is he almost got signed for a music deal with a record label, and then he got Lyme disease, and it went undiagnosed for ages.
Yikes.
Leading to a lot of, like, health complications, psychosis, a lot of shit going on. And he lost his record deal because, like, he couldn't go and perform the way that, like, Sony wanted him to.
Right.
And he came out the other side, like, eventually, like, a decade later, getting his Lyme disease diagnosis and understanding what was going on. And trying to make... Like, during this whole time, he's been making his own music, and this is the first song of his that really blew up solo, is this track that is... it is a 9-minute track. The music video is a single take live recording. The audio is all recorded in the take. He got it on the 4th try. It is an argument between himself and essentially his own anxiety and paranoia, and, like, the bit of you that tells you are a terrible person and deserve nothing and are meaningless.
Yeah.
And having this sort of back and forth argument, like, between the version of you that's like, hey, I'm seeing a therapist, I feel like things are getting better, and the bit of you that's like, no, this failed last time, it's going to fail again, it's going to be terrible, why are you even trying? That little voice. It is a fascinating video in terms of how it does things like, Ren as a performer does a really good job of switching up, like, physical mannerisms and voice very abruptly
Fully
between
embodying different characters very
like,
quickly.
Yeah, like going between, like, very, like, physically sheepish movements to very grand, boisterous ones. His guitar work is very different between the two sides, and he flip-flops back and forth between, like, mostly, like, strums that are very aggressive, a little bit disjointed, a little bit, discordant, to very, like, gentle, like, plucking, but where he's, like, in character sort of, like, sheepishly looking down and checking his fingering when he's doing that side, but not when he's the sort of more aggressive, more confident side. It's this really beautifully written back and forth about, like, mental health that ends in a really beautiful place talking about, like, concepts of mental health not being, like, mental health conditions not being a thing that you can ever truly beat, and that being quite a depressing thought, but being like, this is not a battle for me to win, this is a pendulum, and it's going to swing one way and the other, and trying to fight that movement is a losing battle. You have to be okay with the swings one way, and learn to live in those.
Find coping mechanisms rather than solutions.
Yeah, it's the this too will pass mentality.
Yes.
It is human to have, like, if you swing into really high highs, you're going to inevitably have some lows, and being okay with that dance.
Yeah.
It is like 9.5 minutes long. It's nearly 10 minutes long, and it's mesmerizing start to finish. There's so many, like, really fascinating little details that every time I rewatch it, I catch more things that I had missed before. It's one of the most, like, effective pieces of, like, storytelling I've ever seen done.
I remember I started watching this, and then, like, I think I, like, dropped my phone or something, and TikTok did the TikTok thing of, oh, you did something, and now I'm never going to show you this content ever again. I was like, but that seemed really interesting.
Yeah.
The next time I bumped into Ren at all was, like, a couple of days later, and it was a video talking about the fact that the right wing have gone fucking wild about telling children about mental health and to talk baiting is not all possible to recover from, and Rosie.
I'm not surprised to hear that they had that response to it, because, yeah, it is a very open track about mental health, huh?
Yep.
But gosh darn, it is something very special. His lyricism and, like, full body performative ability, I can't recommend it enough. I'm late to the party I'm talking about it, but it is incredible. What about you? What have you listened to this week?
Well, an oldie. I think I've talked about this before, probably quite a lot. But we're like 280 episodes in nearly at this point. So we listened through Oscar Schuster's album Sneeryland.
Yeah.
Which we just wanted something nice and chill and with no lyrics to put on in the background while we played Viticulture, and yeah, it's a nice, chill bit of music, or it's an entire album thereof. It's about 40 minutes long. It's a mixture of, like, lo-fi, like, really crunchy, bit crushed drums, and, like, found sounds, and, almost like toy piano type sounds occasionally, and, like, keyboard, mechanical typewriter clicking, that sort of thing. Like, there is a lot of fascinating little sounds, and they all build to this very grand, like, beautiful, like, wall of sound soundscape type things that are just, like, beautiful. I've talked about it a few times, but the two I really love off the album are Marchin', which has, like, a very obviously marching type vibe to it. You can certainly go along with it that way. And Wunder, which is just a really beautiful, uplifting piece.
It's such a good piece of music.
Considering it's got no lyrics, just everything about the way it builds, the way it moves, the way it, like, rises, crescendos and breaks. It really does do, like, that sense of wonder and uplifting beautifully. And it was nice to listen to that again. And also, new track from Cartoon Network.
Yes.
It's a cover of Teenagers by MCR.
Yeah, it is.
It's a little bit less bouncy than a lot of ska type stuff, but I think it is the right sort of pace for that. It's chill, it's good. It captures the good spirit of the original MCR, and it's a really nice cover. Yeah. And now I kind of want to hear a ska na na na. Go on, Ja, do it.
Right.
Give a ska na na na. Have you listened to anything else?
No, I think that's about it for me.
Well then,
Time for this. I can't work out what's wrong with Steam today.
oh, have you tried resetting it?
I've tried resetting it.
Have you updated it?
I've tried updating it.
Have you verified your Steam cache?
I've checked the integrity of my Proton files and my whatnot. I've done all that
and
shit.
your whatnot. Oh.
Yeah, I can't
What's it
seem to
doing?
buy anything on the Steam store today.
Okay.
Like,
What? Like, is it just like a payment problem, or?
I don't know. I keep going to buy games on Steam, and
Mm-hmm.
initially I thought it was like a payment thing or something was happening.
Right.
Because, like, I keep going to buy games, and I don't see the button to buy the game.
Right.
And then I realised the button to play the game was there.
Right. So, it's
so-
just something you've already got, right?
Well, that's what I thought, if it's just one game, I thought maybe that's what was going on.
Right.
So I go look at a different game. It also has it on there.
Right.
And another game, and it's also already on there.
Is this because of all the bundles you've...
No, I don't think so. This many games is ridiculous. Like, I feel like I must be having some kind of bug, and I've somehow stumbled into some kind of free access to all games on Steam or something. Like, that's gotta be it, right?
That doesn't seem likely. Is
No.
it maybe like one of those... Didn't they do like a reviewer's code or something?
Yeah,
for-
no, I never got one of those. Okay, let me... Oh, it isn't every game. It's just a lot of games.
Right.
That's a higher number of things than I ever thought I'd bought. I'm gonna close that tab. I didn't buy that many video games. Definitely not. Definitely a nice little glitch from Steam. And I will tell myself that because... Oh god, I should probably unlink my card.
But you know what?
What?
I bet you're never going to be able to find something you want to play.
I mean, there's gotta be something I haven't bought yet in this Steam sale.
No, I mean you're going to be scrolling through that library of unplayed games going, nah, I don't know, I'll just replay Undertale. I must say that young lordling is, making life quite interesting around the village, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, you reckon?
Oh yeah, well, fancies himself an adventure, so he does.
Is that so?
Oh yeah, so bought himself a shiny new sword, some shiny new metal breeches,
Ooh.
one of them big helmets,
Ooh.
but it's got like the whole face open, because you know how he's terribly vain.
Oh, of course.
Set off on all sorts of adventures, so he has, so every now and again he'll come round the village asking if anyone's got a quest or whatnot. And we don't even have to pay him.
No, just tell him what I want done and he'll just go do it.
Yeah, just tell him you're gonna give him some XP. At the moment we're keeping it in double digits, but every now and again he'll just come into the village square and declare loudly that he's leveled up, or dinged apparently.
What's that even mean?
I have no idea, but that does mean that he'll go to the pub and spend all his parents' money. And, he'll buy everyone a drink.
Ooh.
He'll be very happy and he'll hope everyone's going to celebrate his latest adventure.
Well, I'll make sure to give him some of this XP and get making some swords that I can flog him for way more than they're worth.
Just make sure they're very shiny.
Oh,
But,
yes.
apparently Farmer Gary is planning to work on building like a nice wooden dragon. Gonna set him up against this big old wooden dragon and let's give him something to conquer, I suppose.
I bet you I could sprinkle glitter on this sword and make it look real sparkly.
Oh, you could say that one's enchanted, so you can... Here he comes. Hello, my lord. Ah, the bare asses. Well, this is exactly what my family needs to get through the winter. Here's 32 XP as promised. Oh, excellent there. Onward to adventure! Bammy.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Social justice warriors.
Social justice warriors?
Yeah.
Right, Larry.
Right, Barry, how you doing?
Oh, mate, it's been, we've had some warmth, and honest, is mostly just humidity, and I am,
Yeah.
my energy has been sapped.
Oh gosh, same.
Yeah.
Mine's been sapped from the humidity. It's also been pretty sapped from. It took me a second to realise this is what was going on. It's been sapped from travel I ain't been on yet.
Oh, right.
You know how that is?
Not holiday, then.
No. Well, I mean, even if it was holiday, I think I'd feel the same about it. You ever get like that? You're just like...
Well, this is why I don't travel, to be honest. Apart from my general anxiety of, being far away from home, just the idea of going somewhere where all of the stuff that I know makes my brain and life work.
Yeah. Well, you're going away from the place where, like, your routine exists and going into a setting where it's like...
I cannot comfortably get back to this tonight.
If I forgot a thing, I can't just nip back and get it. Yeah, I have to have planned out like several things in advance.
Yeah,
that I won't know if they've worked until I get there. You know, the steps that I'm just sort of having to operate on faith that are gonna, they're gonna happen.
Yeah,
I'll try and do the packing and remember like the things that you can't pack until the last minute, but you do need to remember to bring them. So you've got to like sort of partially pack and have the list that's the, like, I need to remember to put these in there before I go.
Yeah, I'll get it, mate. This is why I haven't left the country since 2006.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, I know it happens to me. Anytime I'm prepping for travel, particularly where I'm organising all the logistical stuff, it really wears me out in advance. And I find myself really tired, and I find myself going like, why am I so tired at the moment? And so I beat myself up over it a little bit until I realise, like, no, there is a very valid, not that there needs to be a valid reason to be tired, but also recognising in myself, it is quite tiring to get yourself ready for, I'm going to be in a place where I don't have access to all of the things that I usually take for granted having to hand.
I must account for all the, contingency plans and also, mentally gear myself up for if something, isn't perfect or
do I have my contingency plan?
Can I work something out? Or that's a lot, especially for a neurodivergent people such as ourselves to find how will I deal with my comfort, a level of comfort that I need to just survive the neurotypical world around me.
Yeah, and part of it's like all the things you got to do that you would be doing that during that period of time, but you can't do, so you've got to do them early. Get them out of the way before you can go. It's
the old, getting ahead of your work before you can go on holiday.
I've just been trying to remind myself like it's all right to be being a bit tired out, despite not having actually started the travelling yet.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Fancy hug, mate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good hug, mate. Good hug.
Good hug.
Right. Well, I think we're going to pop the kettle on.
Oh, sounds lovely.
Nice.
So, Laura,
Yes?
you do things and create stuff and such.
I do!
Tell us about those things and where people can locate.
I mean, you can find me pretty much everywhere at Laura K. Buzz. That's usually the place to find me on whatever social media platforms you're looking at, because it's good unified branding. Any way you can think of, I'm probably Laura K. Buzz. Things to look forward to. Stories of Autistic Joy is releasing on October 19th. Look forward to that. Laura K. Buzz on Patreon, that's the one that pays the bills. If you happen to be around Gamescom, I'll be there. Wave if you see me at a distance. I apologise if I don't stop around to talk very long. I'm probably running stressed between appointments, but I'll briefly say hi as I run through the halls.
And also temporarily a little bit deaf.
Yeah, a little bit. Hopefully I won't still be in like a week and a half, but we'll see. But yeah, what about you? Where are you at on the internet?
I don't have unified branding, so instead I have a link tree that unifies all the things for me. It's linktree.ee/Janiac, Janiac. You can find the t-shirts I designed, the music I make, of which I would love to do some more. Please sometime, please, thanks. you can help me justify some time spent on creating more things than I already do. At patreon.com/stonedmonkeyradio for as little as $1 a month, you can help me justify that and help me take some more time off so I can keep working on that album that I keep vague posting about. Some of those tracks have been at least partially finished. Ooh. Wouldn't it be nice if I had time for more? Ooh. All of the stuff is over there, and yes, thank you very much to everyone who already supports me. You are greatly appreciated. Laura, will you sing us out, please, darling?
Until next time, be a stranger.